through, do we have anybody new who was not on last week?
I wasn't on last week.
All right, you want to introduce yourself to everybody?
Okay, I'm Terry. This is my 10th year with NeoFit and I live in Stowe. Anything else?
No, that's good.
Okay.
I'm Allison. I live in Brecksville, so I have an easy hike to Towpath when we ever get together there. I think 4th or 5th year with NeoFit, but last couple of years had to poop out partway through the sessions, but I'm on good track this year.
And Allison, you're doing more of a 5K thing, or you're just
No, I'm just using the couch to 5K, 10K to get myself back. That's not my info.
Okay.
Being
All right.
happy.
That sounds good. And I see
That
Jenny.
is awesome.
Jenny,
Me?
were you on last week?
No, I wasn't. I'm Jenny. It's my 3rd year in NeoFit. I'm doing the training for the half marathon, and I also live in Stowe.
Awesome.
Rock on, Stowe.
All right. Do we have anybody else who was not on last week?
I wasn't. This is Kelly Lucas.
Oh, yeah.
I started last year and had some health issues, so I did not get to finish, but I'm back this year. I'm in the half marathon group, but I'm hopeful to get to at least 6 miles.
Awesome.
And I'm from Cleveland.
Awesome. All right, we'll go through and just introduce the coaches real quick. I'm Coach Brenda, and Mark is eating something, so I want to know what Mark is eating.
Popcorn.
Oh, popcorn.
You always Zoom during my popcorn time. And I'm Mark. I'm Coach Mark. I'm involved with the 510 group.
All right, who's next? Coach Terry?
I'm Coach Terry on the green group, and I've been with NeoFit since the original year. What is this, our 16th year or 15th?
I think we're in 17, which is hard to believe.
How time flies when you're having fun.
Exactly.
That's right.
All right, Coach Jody.
Hi, I'm Coach Jody, and I am coach for the Yellow Marathon Group, and this is my 11th year in NeoFit, and I live in Independence.
All right, and Coach Leanne.
Coach Leanne, Red Group coach, and this is my 11th year in NeoFit, and I live in Peninsula.
All right. All right, Vince, why is it so cold in your house that you have to wear a hat?
What's that?
Why is it so cold in your house you need to wear a hat?
It's not. I haven't had a chance to shave my head. So
Your hair is so long.
I mean, I can be like this, but I tend to nervous
Oh,
habit.
Okay, put your hat back on.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. And
All right,
plus, it's like if the light hits it just right, the silverness of my gray hair will blind everybody.
Okay, put your hat back on.
I got those in the past month, all those gray hairs.
All right, we're gonna turn it over to you so you can tell us all about shoes and clothing.
Yes, so I actually have some documents if I can share my screen. Is that okay, Jeff? I think I can do that on my end, maybe.
Didn't you do it last week?
Yep.
Okay.
There we go.
Everybody see my screen now?
Yeah.
Yes.
And this is something I can send out after the Zoom meeting tonight. But this is basically a summarizing document of how we go through the fitting process at the store. And, it kind of takes people through running injuries, the type of surfaces they'll be on, the weekly mileage, training goals, all that kind of stuff that'll help myself or staff get people dialed into the correct type of footwear. So I'll send this document out to you, Brenda, and then you could email it to everybody. And if people want to fill it out, it's kind of very similar to the eFit form that we're using on our website, but maybe a little more in depth for people who might have a better understanding of what they need. But the other document I'm going to share here is, everybody sees this one, finding the right shoes. Is that on everybody's screen?
Steps in the shoe fitting process.
Your most effective piece of equipment.
No.
All
I
right, let me
think you have to share the new document.
Okay.
Yeah,
hang on a
make sure
second.
you click on the new one.
Hang on. See, I'm not as tech savvy as you thought.
You're still learning.
Hang on. Let's see if I can figure this out. Stop share.
Yeah.
And then, all right, let's try this again. So this doc, I'll give everybody a moment to read this here once I bring it up. Is it right here? Okay, now everybody can see this one? Finding the right pair of running shoes?
Yep.
All right. So I always say this, it's easy for me, obviously owning a shoe store, to tell everybody that they need better shoes or good shoes for running, but it is, you know, the most effective piece of equipment that everybody will use as a runner or a walker. There's a lot of decisions to be made when you're picking out a pair of running shoes, and we pride ourselves on being able to help people kind of work through all those different options and find the right pair. But in this document, you'll kind of see how to go about maybe approaching finding the right kind of shoe, and maybe why some of those injuries or ailments that you've been dealing with could also pertain to the footwear you've been using. So I'll scroll down here. Is everybody reading this? Has everybody made it to the bottom of it? Can I scroll down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this right here is like, you know, how long do running shoes last? And in all honesty, I wish I could say they last forever, because that would be a great selling point, but they don't. And we usually give a range of 300 to 500 miles. And if you're training for longer distance events, in all honesty, it does make sense to rotate more than one pair of shoes. It gives that shoe an opportunity to kind of rejuvenate the next time you go to wear it. And this time of year, you know, we've been dealing with a lot of rain. So if your shoes are wet, you don't have to put a wet pair of shoes on the next day. And it does make them last longer by rotating. Sometimes you'll notice we'll mention, or you'll see somebody at the store do what we call the towel test. And that's the torsional twist of the shoe. And a lot of times, if you could wring that shoe like a towel, that's one of the signs that your shoes might be worn out. And as I'm going through all this stuff, if anybody has any questions, just raise your hand or say, hey, Vince, stop, I have a question, and I'll answer that for you.
Hey, Vince, I have a quick question.
Yep.
You suggested rotating shoes for doing longer distances. Does it make sense to have different kinds of shoes, different brands of shoes, or is it okay to have the same exact shoe and just rotate them?
I mean, it depends on what you're like. If you're kind of doing your runs all at the same pace, a lot of the same surfaces, then two of the same shoes is fine. But you know, some people might choose to have, like, once everybody starts doing speed work, you might choose to have a different shoe for speed work than you do for, you know, long distance runs. And then the obvious one would be trail shoes versus road shoes. So personally, I think having a few different pairs makes more sense. Allows you to change up that gait a little bit and gives you a different feel, connectivity to the, you know, surface underneath your feet. So maybe like if you're doing speed work out on the track, you might not want a heavy cushion shoe because the track's already very responsive. And you want something that's maybe going to allow you to get that foot turnover faster.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Now, there's also the rule, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So I think it's up to the person as an individual to decide, you know, how much experimenting they want to do with the footwear. I mean, we'll sell people as many shoes as they want.
I have a question, Vince.
Yes.
Although I'm most interested in the Hoka Speed Goat.
Yep.
Probably a more general question. People might be interested in knowing what are the differences in the new models for this year of the most popular shoes.
Well, obviously the number one goal that they always have is to try to make them better, fit better, feel better underneath your feet. In particular with the new Speed Goat, that one came out in November, and it's more of an upper change. And they did try to widen the toe box a little bit. So in previous versions, people might have been going up a half a size. And now we're finding people more wearing maybe their regular shoe size. But that's always one of our most popular trail shoes. And the price did go up $5, so it's now $145. But I have a friend who runs exclusively in that shoe, and he wears them for road and trail. And he pushes the limits on it, but he gets 600-700 miles out of his Speed Goat 4s. And so that's a great shoe. Obviously, Hoka, they've really grown fast over the past few years, and it's one of our better selling brands. And constantly the brands, typically once a year, you'll see updates from a lot of these shoe companies. But Allison, to your point, the everything's pretty much the same on a Speed Goat, except for maybe a little wider toe box, and then the upper's a little different.
Thank you.
And the colors are better. So here we come down to the rotating shoes component. So you can give everybody a opportunity to read that. Something also to consider that I've been doing a lot over the past month myself is I use over-the-counter inserts, and I've been finding myself rotating inserts into different shoes as well. I think sometimes we get so used to having the same insert in that same pair of shoes that we both of them are running the same course at the same time. So what I've been finding myself is rotating my inserts into different shoes as well. And it's been saving the recovery by doing that has been really positive. So I don't know how many people use over-the-counter. Does anybody ever use an over-the-counter insert, or anybody have any questions on maybe why they should be adding one of those?
I use them. I think they're great. I use I think it's the Montrail one.
Yep, that's the same brand that I use.
I
And
went from custom orthotic to that. So it works out pretty well.
yeah, I think they can take a shoe that might just be okay and make it feel phenomenal. So the other cool thing with a lot of the brands that we carry at the store, like most of our footwear companies now offer a 30-day trial period. So if you did want to experiment with something, you could get a new pair of shoes, run in it a couple weeks and say, these aren't for me. And you could swap it out for something different. And a lot of the insole companies like Superfeet has a 60-day return policy. So you can do a lot of this experimenting with little risk. Any other questions before I scroll down?
I have a general one about the Montrail. I read the package and it said that you have to heat them in the oven.
We usually tell people to disregard that
Okay.
and just let them mold to your feet over time.
That's pretty much what I did. I wanted to
Yeah.
make sure because it didn't really do anything anyway.
No, yeah, they'll people will leave them in the oven too long, and then they'll come in like drunk up and
Baked.
yeah, it's not. You have to follow it like very precisely, or else it doesn't work out very well. So
Okay, so they'll just wear in while you're using them.
Yep, just let them wear in while you're using them. Typically about 7 to 10 days of wearing them, you'll start to notice them taking shape to your feet. Here's that pre-screening that I can also send Brenda's way for people. I might have spelled neutral wrong in this document, so just for all you English majors, don't punish me for that. And this is really, I mean, really what it comes down to, it's super simple. Like when the fitting process starts, it's really simple to smash it all down into these basic questions and really get to understand maybe what's going on with your feet and what your needs might be in shoes. Personally, I've been fitting people in running shoes. I started working in a running store when I was in college in 1998. So this will be 22 years that I've been selling running shoes. There's nothing I haven't seen, and there's like no problem that I've been fearful to help. So, you know, one thing that's kind of like gone on through this whole process of the coronavirus is that I've been the only one helping customers at the store. And it's really got me to appreciate that kind of connection with our customers. So you have that opportunity for the next couple of weeks to have me fit you until May 12th when we're allowed to open again. So if you want to do that, you can reach out through email or just message me on Facebook. So what other questions do people have on shoes? I have one more document I'm going to share here. Let's see if I can do this one more time. I'm going to show people some pictures of feet. Not like feet with, I had one request about how to deal with black toenails, and we will get to that. But let me pull up this other, because some people might be wondering, well, there's all these different shoes. How do I know what is right for me? And how do I know what my foot type is? And obviously we're here to help you figure that out. But there's also this. Everybody see this now?
Yep.
Yep.
So, you know, the foot type over here on the left, basically, you know, defined as 3 different foot types: high arch, normal arch, flat foot, and then how those different foot types match up with the type of alignment needs that you would need in a shoe, and then what type of shoe would provide you that type of alignment. And it's almost this simple, with the exception that not everybody's arch type necessarily matches up with this specific type of alignment. I'd say some people who have flat feet don't need the pronation control, and some people with a normal arch need pronation control. So we can help people figure that out as well. But I always like to tell people, think of running shoes and inserts and everything like that, trying to put your body into proper alignment. And if you would think of a vehicle that's out of alignment, you know, your tires don't wear well. It makes the vehicle work a lot harder. You know, it tends to pull one way versus the other. So making sure that you're getting into that proper alignment is extremely important. A lot of that has to do with the shoes. And believe it or not, almost equally important is the strength training and the core regimen that you follow to help complement, because we can help you with what is going on in your feet, knees, and hips, but a lot of that can also be affected by what's going on in your torso as well. So I know as you guys work through the training, Brenda will help you guys with that kind of stuff, and the coaches will help you with that. But you got to really focus on your body as a total piece of machinery and not just one piece, you know, at a time. So anybody have any questions on this? No?
Good stuff.
All right. So, one of the things that complements a great pair of running shoes, as everybody I think would understand, is a good pair of socks too. So something to consider for blister prevention, all that kind of stuff would be a good pair of socks. And I'll open it up to questions now.
Vince, didn't you see my question I put in the email?
No?
I know.
Where was it?
I fear that you didn't read it. Okay. So I know you're going to like this one. I
All
wrote,
right.
I'm running and I feel a small pebble in my shoe. Should I keep going?
Oh, man.
Or should I stop and try to remove the pebble? And are there socks that would prevent the pebble from getting in my shoe? And is there a powder or something I could use to prevent that from happening?
Is that a dig?
Why did I ask that question?
Well, early on in this month, I was doing hill repeats and I didn't stop when I got a rock in my shoe. And I wore a hole in the back of my Achilles. So the entire heel of my shoe that I had on that day was dyed red from the amount of blood that I rubbed raw on my heel. So thanks, Brenda.
I thought you would want to share that story and tell everybody about it.
I did not want to stop. It was raining and I was in kind of like a good rhythm. So I thought it would shake itself to the bottom of the shoe and then eventually work its way towards the toes where I could dance it around a little bit. So I would suggest stopping and taking your shoe off and getting the rock out. So.
Okay, so tell us more about socks. What kind of socks do we need to wear?
I prefer merino wool, but that's not for everybody. The Features brand is our #1 selling brand of socks. I know Christy got a pair of those today to try out. She was in for shoes. So Features has a lifetime warranty on their socks. You get a hole in them.
Oh yeah, wow.
Yeah, you don't like them.
Just send it back.
Lifetime warranty. They give you a new pair. So don't bring your dirty socks into our store. Email Features, and if there's true defect or hole worn in them, they will replace them. The more high level Feature socks are also right and left specific as far as like right foot, left foot, and they offer a level of compression. But a good pair of socks in the right pair of shoes, and you're good to go. And as you start to get into longer runs, and you don't have to worry about the hot spots, and they just provide a more comfortable feel next to skin. So good pair of socks, definitely something I would recommend.
Why did you go away from the Balaga socks?
All right, what do people have?
So we switched from Balaga to Features, and a lot of it was just the fit and the feel of the socks. Nothing against that their brand. It was just more popularity and kind of like a staff favorite type of thing. So Features has always, supported our stores very well too. So it's a great brand, and I run in Features, so it kind of made sense.
I bought a pair of Features at, you had a ladies' night in Brecksville a couple years ago, and I always had trouble with socks. But I bought a pair of Features at one of those events, and I have never switched back. I love those socks.
Oh yeah, I mean, they make the best socks. I go through a lot of socks because what happens when you run a lot of trails, and when you get your socks off and everything is stuck to the outside of it, well, what happens is you turn it inside out and you take it off, and then you just throw it in the washing machine, and a lot of that stuff that was stuck to the sock is still on the sock even after you wash it. So my socks don't last as long as other people's, but I probably have, if I had to guess, 30 pairs of Feature socks that I rotate through. And I love them.
How many pairs of socks does Holly have?
Not as many.
Oh.
She has a hodgepodge. She gets all the socks that reps give us who try to get us to carry other brands. So she's not as exclusive, but I love my Feature socks. So, but Smartwools are good too. I mean, I'm not gonna, if you use Smartwool or Swiftwick, those are good too. And then like today, tonight and all today I wore, anybody ever use CEP compression?
Mhm.
So for recovery, you can use compression socks, and the CEPs are really nice for that too. So if you did a long run and then that day and even into the night, you could even sleep in them for recovery. CEP socks are really good for that too. They also make the calf sleeve, so if you don't want the full sock, you can get a sleeve, but the recommendation is anything over 3 hours that you would wear the full sock. Any other questions?
Are you still doing your streak?
I am. Yeah, today was 735 days.
All right.
So, and tomorrow we'll complete my my month of elevation gain too. So for the month of April, I'll have over 40,000 feet of elevation gain in 30 days. So.
Do you ever feel that you need a rest day?
I was just telling somebody this. There's something that happens where, like today, anybody familiar with Oak Hill Road?
Yeah.
Oh, I just did that the other day.
So I did that 11 times this morning. And one
Why
thing
not
you start.
10? Why have to be 11? Like, was 10 not good? Like you needed one more?
I didn't get 2,000 feet of elevation gain.
Oh, I see. I see.
I wanted it so bad, and I did not want to do 11. I wanted 10 and be done. But so I think the one thing you'll find with and something I've noticed, because now I'm doing hill repeats. Today was probably, out of the month of April, I've probably done 20 days where I've just run hill repeats over and over again. Not left with more than a mile of where I started from. Like I was at Kendall Lake on Monday and I did that hill up from Kendall Lake. I did that 13 times, and people were really starting to question what I was doing there. The bad thing about this whole thing is the parks are packed. So when you're doing stupid stuff like this, people are like, what is this guy like? Is he normal? Is he normal? Is he doing, what is he doing over here? So, you know, like as you're going through this whole thing, it's so simple to recognize that like, these little breakthroughs that you have. So you start out, you run a mile. Let's say you're getting ready for a 5K, and that first mile really sucks. And then mile 2, all of a sudden when you're running, you're like, wow, mile 1 was really bad, but mile 2 is really good. And then next thing you know, like mile 1 still is pretty bad. Mile 2's better. And then mile 3 was like the best one out of all of them. And I've really started to recognize these incremental changes in fitness over the past few weeks. And it teaches you, you gotta make it through the bad spells in running, because usually what's after that is pretty easy. So, you know, if you think about, if you're training for a marathon, you got to work up all the way to this 20 or 22 mile run, then you taper, and then the marathon is essentially pretty easy. So I'm serious. I'm sharing this knowledge with you tonight. And
hurry up, because I'm almost done with you.
Come on.
Hey, Vince, I was at the bottom of the hill and took a picture of your feet. I think at the end of it, and I think this is what you were doing at the end. Right? Bloody feet.
It was on gravel.
He didn't take the pebble out of his shoe.
Now, I've really tried to take this time where I could have just been really feeling sorry for myself and for our business, and try to take it and spin it into something positive. And I don't think it's in me to be negative. I mean, I'll be momentarily, I'll get off the rails, but I always come back to center. And I think I encourage everybody to do that for themselves. Like, with this training, it's going to be hard, everybody kind of conducting their own orchestra. But the one thing is you're in charge of every instrument. So like, make it sound really, make a symphony. Yeah, and make it awesome. So I miss the guys that I run with normally, and I miss that social component, but I've also found the ability to push myself as an individual, and not really rely on anybody else to hold me accountable except myself.
Yeah, and Vince, you do a good job with that. So probably what has driven you to own your own business and work really hard and, share that with other people. So we're lucky to have you as part of the group to help us through.
Yeah, and I want people to know, like, if you're having a tough time and things don't seem like they're working out with your training, reach out to somebody and just ask for help, or ask for a little bit of a nudge or whatever you need. I know I saw Kelly at My Ears Were Burning. I saw her when I was finishing up at Covered Bridge on Saturday, and she was talking the one hill that I was running up and down. She was talking to the people that she was running with about, oh, Vince made me run up that once and I just happened to be there. And so I mean, I think make of it the best you can, and I think you'll create some really special memories right now. So,
and I've heard from a lot of people that people really like Strava, that you guys are enjoying it. I know, it is a nice place to kind of see what people have done and where they've gone. And I guess Jeff and Leanne nearly ran into each other the other night and didn't realize till they looked on Strava. So, those are really cool things that what Kathy Taylor did by writing out NeoFit. Oh my gosh, I just love that. That's really awesome. So people are doing some really cool things. One of the things that I listened to the other night was about loneliness, because, our patients at the hospital are completely alone. It's just everybody's alone. Anyway, it was interesting. They talked about you can be alone in 3 different areas. So your personal, like if you have a spouse, you could feel alone. You could feel alone in your relationships, like with your coworkers, your family. And then they talked about community. And I think it just was kind of interesting because we have this running community, and while we aren't all together, which doesn't feel good, it doesn't feel good for me Saturday mornings when I wake up and just feel it's just not the same. But we still have our community, and we have our way to kind of have that support. Just the same way that people who go to church, or maybe they have other areas in the community that they volunteer with. And I think that we are just so lucky to have this kind of opportunity. And I really thank Jeff for setting up this Zoom call and everything for us to be able to participate, because it just seeing everybody's faces makes me feel better. And that you guys are out there running and we're all doing it together separately, because I can get on my soapbox about why we need to be separate if anybody wants to hear that. But, it's very important that we take this virus seriously, and we are all out there doing what we need to do to be healthy for ourselves and to protect other people. Real quick sad story, just to reiterate this point, is an older gentleman is still in our hospital. his daughter was sick and ended up getting him sick. And so again, when we think about protecting our most vulnerable people in society, our older adults, we just need to really make sure that we are keeping ourselves safe and not infecting other people. Again, which is why we need to just be doing this alone and being okay with that, and being okay with the uncertainty that we may be running a marathon all by ourselves, or we may be running a half marathon all by ourselves, or maybe we're only going to get to 8 miles, and that's okay. It doesn't really matter as long as we're out there being healthy. So having good shoes, having the right clothes, having all that stuff to make it a little bit easier is what we need to concentrate on. Creating our own routes, like Vince talked about, you know, where you're coming back to your car or something so that you can get water. And I know that we're not at that point yet, because this week we've got 4 miles for the full group and 3 miles for the half group. So nobody should be, you know, so dehydrated from only running 3 or 4 miles. But I think next week we're going to talk about hydration, and we're going to let Vince explain to us like all the different things that are out there. We may need to kind of really think about how we're going to carry enough fluids with us this summer while we're kind of training by ourselves. And you may get tired of doing a route where you keep coming back to your car. So maybe we need to find a way to carry a little bit more fluid with us so we can go a little farther. But that is for next week. So what questions do we have about this week? Anybody have any questions about the schedule?
Hey, Brenda, I don't really have a question. Just I was telling Vince about this is, so Joan and I run together. So because I had a stress fracture, I was doing stationary bike. She would go out and do her run. She would text me when she was getting ready, and she'd be like, okay, starting. She would do her run. I would get on the bike and I would do the bike. And then she would text me and say, okay, I'm done. And then we would talk afterwards. And it was our way of still being able to connect socially while still distance and still training together. So it's just an idea for something.
That's awesome. And we may need that kind of accountability partner that you check in with and you say, hey, I'm going to go run now, and they're running, and then you talk about it when you're done. Yeah, I love that.
Hi, can I pose a question to the group?
Yeah.
I know that folks had said, don't get on Google and try to, as a newbie, try to figure out what the heck to do. So my hip is like sore as heck. So of course, what do? I get on and Google. I'm like seeing all these things of what, you know, it could be. And I do remember from the last time the foam roller being a big thing. I'm also probably pretty sure I need to start supplementing with like doing squats and stuff. But do you guys have any suggestions on where to go to get good information on that? And how long would you not run the next day? Like, how do you know when you should really back off and not do anything when you shouldn't?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think pain has to be your guide. So there are a lot of injuries that can happen when you're just starting back up with running, and shin splints can be a big thing. So the front of your shins really bother you. If you're talking more about your hip, it could be your IT band, it could be your piriformis, it could be all of these things. So then when you Google it, it can be kind of overwhelming.
Yeah.
We normally would have gone over stretching, which I should probably put together just a handout or information, or even do a video on kind of some basic stretches that can be good. The foam roller is a great tool to have. It can be very painful, but it can be very good for you. And I think, Vince, don't you sell some foam rollers?
We do. And I think sometimes, especially in that hip area, people tend to think it's their hip, but it could sometimes also be the IT band, which is a, very common overuse injury. So you'll know when you get on a foam roller if it's your IT band. So it could, and that runs down the whole lateral part, the outside part of your leg. So yeah, foam roller, I think, is something that every runner should have to use. So so that might help a lot.
And as you start to get into running, it takes a while for your muscles to get used to running. And then like you'd be surprised, 4 to 6 weeks, you know, for your muscles to kind of develop again into that pattern where they're used to that pounding. But your tendons and ligaments can take 8 to 10 months. So
Oh, wow.
that's a long time. So when you think about your tendons that are inserting your muscles to the bone, it takes them a long time to kind of develop that, just that pattern where they're used to all the pounding. So somebody like Vince, who's run what, 700 and how many days?
36, I was wrong.
736 days, his tendons and ligaments are very much used to all that pounding and pulling.
My body's numb. I don't even feel anything anymore. It's just,
Obviously from the bloody socks, right?
yeah. Yeah, if you wear a hole in the back of your heel, your hip won't bother you anymore.
Right. Right. Then your heel just hurts. So these are all really common to get aches and pains like that. But when you have really sharp pain that's giving you, you know, maybe 7 out of 10 pain, then you need to stop and really roll things back and think about things. So for the record, I'm a physical therapist, so I believe in physical therapy. And right now, our outpatient clinics where I work are still open, but they're also doing virtual visits too, which could be a really great way just to get in front of somebody who can kind of evaluate you and give you specific things. Because I'm not sure exactly if you have hip weakness or if you have, you know, more of a knee problem. It's hard to tell just by talking with somebody.
Gotcha. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Is everybody stretching when they get done running? Everybody?
My wife, Holly, had chronic hip issues and IT band, and she actually went on YouTube for hip strengthening exercises. And she does a 20 to 30 minute hip strengthening workout free from a YouTube. I'll get the exact name of it because I'll be right back, but you guys can keep talking.
On that too, and they have some videos on hip strengthening, and also
Yes.
the Myrtle warm-up routine is pretty good for that.
Yes, so there's videos out there. I think it's called something shaker. I can't, fitness shaker, something of that nature. And she had chronic IT band problems. She started doing these exercises, this routine 20 to 30 minutes every couple days, and IT band stuff is gone. Now she has plantar fasciitis.
Oh, that's terrible.
Poor Holly. So yeah, as we get into running at this time of year, you just get those aches and pains. And if you were running all winter, then maybe you don't have them, but it is very common and normal to have issues. So nobody should feel alone or feel like they need to stop. Always reach out if you have an issue because we can talk through it. So.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I don't want to keep anybody too long. I think this was really good. Thank you, Vince.
You're welcome. Thank you. Good to see everybody again.
If you guys have more questions, please send them to me. And I know that Jeff was looking for pictures. Jeff, I have some pictures I have to send to you that people took last week when they were running. I think the best thing is probably just to post those pictures to Facebook in the group. Everybody should be in the group. If you're not, maybe I didn't put that in the email. I'll put that in the email so that you can be part of the group. Post the pictures in there, and then we can all see them. You can also put them in Strava so we can see them in Strava too.
Yeah, I was gonna say one more thing about Strava is you can go in and actually name your run. And I think sometimes that also makes you feel a little bit more connected. So it's easy to edit that. And then you can also comment on other people's activities as well. So aside from giving kudos, you can also go in there and comment and say, good job, you know, nice job, whatever you want to say, I guess, to make it more positive. So.
All right, do we want to hear from the coaches? So the coaches have anything to say? I did all the talking. Well, Vince did most of the talking, but.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. You're supposed to do the talking.
Oh, thank you.
Well, I'll start. Thank you, Vince. He really has helped us over the years with shoe fittings and everything else. And
whenever we needed a seminar on trail running or things like that. He is the guy to go to. We really appreciate that you help us out so much.
Thank
with
you.
all our members. I am missing everyone. I just have to put this out there. My running is not the same without my talking to my people. So I am missing each one of you guys, and I cannot wait till this is all over. It's been very stressful. I work at the hospital, as you guys, most of you know. And once this is over, we're all going to celebrate one way or another with a nice long run.
Together.
Yes.
All right. Any other coach? Coach Leanne, you want to say something?
Yes, for all of my red runners, even though I don't know who is all in the red group yet. Hey, Joe. Hey, if you are stopping to walk, awesome. It's fine. I know we're not like over analyzing each other's runs or anything, but just yesterday I was so tired, and there's so much walking during my little 3-mile run yesterday. And a week ago, it was like, it felt like easy. There wasn't one stop. There was all negative splits. And then yesterday, totally different story. So I know sometimes we start to worry like, oh my gosh, it's only 2 miles and I had to stop and walk. So what? I've been doing that every year for so long, and I keep finishing marathons. So don't let that trip you up. Just keep moving forward.
Awesome. All right, Jody or Mark, you want to say anything?
Have a good week running. And everyone has those bad days. Yeah, it happens to everyone. Just keep getting out there. I'm talking here. No, it's
I can't
okay.
tell if Mark was talking or eating popcorn, but he's on mute, so I don't know if he knows he's on mute.
See you next week, same time.
Yes, that's going to be the plan. Does that work pretty well for everybody? All right, so next week, another edition of Vince telling us probably some funny stories. And,
Oh, yeah. Can't wait.
and we're going to talk about hydration and how we're going to like carry all our fluids with us. So
And just so you know, I missed Jeopardy for these.
Wow.
no, I don't
So
care.
I'm
Vince,
telling,
so
but
did
I'm
I.
just letting you know that I'm really dedicated to these Zoom meetings because we watch Jeopardy every night.
All right, awesome.
The other thing is this is live streamed up to our YouTube channel, and Brenda will share that. I did think of one other fun thing. I don't know how many people are on like a music service or listen to music while they're doing it. If somebody wants to put together like a share list of your favorite music for that week, it would be kind of fun to post that. And then you can listen to somebody else's music just for some variety.
That's a great idea. Great idea.
I think you can tape yourself on there, you know, giving advice along the way. You have a stone in your shoe, please take it out. You might be bleeding.
All right, everybody, if you have questions, please email me just reply to the email that I send out each week. So it was good seeing everybody, and we will see you next week, 7:30.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night. Bye.